My name's Rhammel. I'm from the UK, the British Youth Council, and my three hashtags were Youth Voice, because I think young people's opinions are really important. My second hashtag is Together, because I like bringing people together. I think it's important that we work together to get to solutions. And then my last hashtag is London, because that's where I'm from, and I love London, so. The format of the bar camp, I think, is really impressive. I've been to quite a few different bar camps, and I always love the fact that the power is very much in the participants' hands, in terms of the participants really make the event. There's an overarching theme, but ultimately it's the people who are part of it who are essentially setting the agenda. And I think that's very different to holding a conference, and I think it's very much mirrors what a lot of young people and other adults would like to see in democracy in general, around setting the agenda as well and being part of that. So I think it's fitted in quite well with what we're trying to achieve, but also in terms of the general ethos of what we've been talking about over the weekend. So I hosted a session on the guidelines that Youth Part and the partners who are part of Youth Part are currently developing, and it's seen as hopefully a benchmark for what young people and professionals who work with young people deem as the benchmark for e-participation and how it should be done. And it talks very much about how it should be developed. Some very strong points in there about ensuring that young people are including in the process from the very beginning all the way through to the end, and looking at how you implement it, and looking at the key sort of if you like indicators to what success would look like if you had the perfect e-participation process, and eventually going on to develop something amazing. So it was a very interesting discussion, and we went through the guidelines, and a lot of people had their opinions on the way that the language, particularly. Obviously we've got a wide variety of people here from all different backgrounds and all different languages, so it was quite important to them that they could understand it, and the language, even though it was English, not using fancy language, making sure it was broken down so that that everyone could understand it. So that was an interesting session. And then later I'm going on to talk about online campaigning and how you can use online campaigning to affect change. So that's not necessarily to affect change within government. It could be about changing people's mindsets. So it could be about mental health, for example, and you decide that you want to do an online campaign that captures people's attention and changes their mindset towards mental health. And so quite often, people want to do an online campaign, but they don't know what the key components are to actually, putting it together and making sure it works. So, talking about, hashtags and, a central focus point where people can collect loads of information, a way of recording, how many people get involved in the online campaign. So we're very much going to talk about the practicalities, if you like, of how to build an online campaign from the beginning all the way through to the end. So it should be an exciting session, and I'm looking forward to it. My hope for the future in terms of participation, and even e-participation, is that people realise the importance and the value it adds to democracy in general. And I think one thing I did mention in a session earlier is that democracy loses its value if people fail to realize how important it is, and people fail to get involved. It's all great having a government that's elected, but actually, if people don't get involved in what's happening, the government is null and void. If they don't have people to advise them and to criticize them and to scrutinize, the chances are they won't be able to meet the targets that they maybe think they would be able to. What's quite important really is that people understand its importance and how they can play a part. A lot of people think that democracy and participation starts and ends when you vote. You go to the ballot box and you choose who you think should be elected, when actually there's a process that follows after that. And so I'd like to see a real focus on how participation can be extended to not just the direct election, but also how it fits into your daily everyday life. And I think the last point is around taking responsibility. That's really important. I think a lot of people find it easy to point fingers at the decision makers, but the decision makers are as great as the community that influences them. So that's what I'd like to see. It's a high expectation, but I think it's one that we can meet if we have more events like this, where people come together to kind of suggest their views and eventually persuade others to get on board the same ideas and ideologies, if you like. So my message to everybody, whether you came to the Youth Bar Camp or not, is to really get involved in what's happening in your community, and to really get involved in what's happening around you, and play an active role.